Greetings again. It has been a while since I've done anything to game video, but you know, today's the day because, like any nerd could have guessed, yes, I just got back from watching Star Wars The Force Awakens, and I'm going to do my best to give a really quick review of my opinion of The Force Awakens without delving too hard into spoilers, because I don't feel like getting assassinated in my sleep by my fellow Star Wars fans. Right, okay. Before I say anything else, I'm going to start with the line, it was better than the prequels. I don't know, although I was still kind of partial to Revenge of the Sith, but other than that, I definitely would take it over what we got from the prequels. And that said, this does feel like a very different movie than any of the Star Wars films we've gotten so far. Did this capture the Star Wars feel? The verdict is still out on that one for me. I get it. Star Wars itself was made in the 70s. It was a very different film. And to say that this didn't capture the Star Wars feel, well, honestly, the problem was it probably did a little too hard. This just kind of seems to me like it's a movie that forgot it was a sequel. You know, I mean, like the first Star Wars, you don't get a lot of setup, how did the Empire come to be or anything like that, but there are a couple of scenes that do kind of help establish the background, like when they discuss disbanding the Imperial Senate, you know. This movie doesn't really do a lot for explaining why the First Order is a thing, you know, that there is this Snoke guy and blah, you know. I'm not gonna, like I said, I don't want to really spoil too much. I am gonna say that I don't think some of the establishment was done very much. It's been 30 years since the previous film, and I want to know more about what's happened since that film, you know, and all I'm getting is some basic details. I'm like, dude, it's been 30 years. I know I'm not going to get all my questions answered in one go, and there are 2 more films for them to delve into some of the details. I'm fine with that. That's great. It just seems like J.J. Abrams tried so hard to make this feel like, you know, a Star Wars film, whereas the prequels didn't, to make this feel like a proper addition to the originals, that, you know, it's like in places, and definitely in plot structure, it just seems a lot like he mirrors the original too hard. At risk of dropping a spoiler here, I'm going to say if you don't know what Starkiller Base is, plug your ears for about 10 seconds. I know, let's do the Death Star, but let's make it bigger and eat lots of planets instead of just one at a time. You know, but it's still the same idea. It's a sabotage run against a big giant, you know, a big gigantic MacGuffin machine of death, you know, and that's what it ends up resulting in. And it seems like the storyline they were building up for, it didn't have to do that. Like, this actual attack run on Starkiller Base was forced, you know, and it wasn't necessary, but whatever. As far as the actual characters themselves, yes, I did absolutely find them likable as hell. Definitely a big fan of Daisy Ridley's character, as well as Finn, the Stormtrooper. I wouldn't have minded a little bit more screen time dedicated to Poe, but I get it. He's kind of the Wedge Antilles. He's a backseat character. He's not the main character. He is, you know, whatever. Not going to spoil too much about the old characters. I'm going to say I kind of wish they hadn't gone, like, back on some of the character building that was done. You know, like, Leia's not very fleshed out in this one, so you can't tell what's happened to her in 30 years. As for Han, it's like they took all of the character progression that made him so awesome, that makes fans run around screaming about Han shooting first, and they backpedaled it because they got him back to just being another heartless smuggler, at least. Well, I mean, not heartless, but it seems like all the strides forward that his character made in the original trilogy were all thrown to the wind just so they could put him back in a familiar situation, instead of, I don't know, I think I'd have been happier seeing him, you know, progressed as a character over the years than, you know, this kind of sidestepping that they did with him to get him back to where he started from. But, you know, nonetheless, I was also worried about me not connecting to the villain, as has been a thing, but, you know, I gotta say, I really do like Kylo Ren. I like that they didn't waste too much time trying to establish him, like they keep making the mistake with variations of Doctor Doom. I like the connection he has to the story. Do I think he's as menacing as Darth Vader? No, but I think that this film is attempting to push that idea forward too. It's important to the story that he isn't quite, he's never going to replace Darth Vader, and that's the whole point. But as a film's villain, no, he's absolutely great. I can't really complain about it. Like I said, this was better than the prequels for the most part. It's not going to be it's never going to possibly have been better than the original trilogy. But I like what I saw with this film. I do look forward to seeing the rest of what this new trilogy has to offer. It is kind of difficult for me to see this as Star Wars canon, though, because so much of it felt more like J.J. Abrams' film style than a Star Wars film style in places. But then, to be honest, I always felt the same way about the expanded universe, the novels and stuff like that. So many of those felt like they were going in the wrong direction for Star Wars canon anyways. And even the good ones, I just never really got that into them. I'm sorry. You know, recycling Palpatine as a villain when they could have done what this movie is doing, which is moving forward with the story. So I will give The Force Awakens that. It does feel rehashed, but it is enough of a hook to get me curious about the rest of the franchise. Predictable storyline or not, it was still a lot of fun to see Star Wars back on the silver screen, and I do look forward to seeing more. Thank you for watching.